this day 1027 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor our country or the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. Very greatly appreciated. Here we are doing Simon Pei Daled in the order, of course. Nun Beis is Samach Aleph. Nun Beis. Hine Zero Dash Rashi Atosis. Barosh. The need come on the Hagdeling Chor Mikri shorts arts. Okay, it's true we hold that if they grow when they are still mechubet with the karka. So then if they grow, the worms grow or the bugs grow while the fruit is still connected to the ground. Mikri shorts arts. It's called shorts arts. Minesha peria yerak mechubet the karka, because the fruit or the vegetable is connected to the ground by the karka atzmo. It's like the ground. Seven come being a makam rachav sheyeh b'chos atol choshaneh. Nevertheless, you need a wide area where the worm can squirm and shake. The Kolosh and treats are called Richush and Any language, anytime we use language of sheretz in the Torah, refers to something which can squirm and shake. English might say creep and crawl. Similar. Just like she would the worm would do if it was on the ground in a place where it had a lot of place to move. It has to be similar when it's in the fruit. So therefore it doesn't have a place to move, squirm around. Like underneath the peel, underneath the husk, I should say, in legumes and in peas. Place is narrow. Doesn't have name of sheretz. Even though the Rashba argues, even if the hole is very small, can only hold the worm, and the worm has no room to move, it's still awesome. The rush allows it. The Ran is raised with the Rashba and says that just like on the land, we don't care if it can move or not. We also so if it's in a fruit or vegetable which is connected to the ground. Talking about the Kabbalah who could go in the slava sheretz karka makam tsar. His intent must be that if the sheretz was generated in the ground in a narrow place, where it has no room to squirm, the come also nevertheless forbidden. So when it's in the fruit which is connected to the ground. But there is showing up. It was teased by the first opinion will hold the gam imakarka no the zeh, even if it's born on the ground in such a manner. Ulai lo asra Torah made Torah doesn't forbid it. The shem sheret came the shem sheret who rak shrochash maneas as well. So when something squirms and shakes itself. Rabbi says lo chash the azul says not concerned with this being there shrot there's maskimim leheter. Most opinions are lenient, which causes see for a gadol. Ayin Sham, like he wrote in the Beis Yosef. It's a great question to ask you. How can you say needed literally to squirm? Even if it was born when the fruit was already plucked from the tree. There's a question if it's separated into air, and died, before it reached the ground, it's not clear if that said to be us or not. Kind of the mistake asura, we also al suffix. Some else him see flamates. Five got the misa ain't circle kosh, even though in death it doesn't have to squirm. Kosh even though I would misa kosh, even though in death it can't squirm, we still machmir. Kosh the cane no the mim chubar. Certainly if it's it's one when it's in the fruit, they ain't so chisha clout. It doesn't require a chisha at all. So if it drops dead from the severed fruit, and then it doesn't squirm at all, it's still usher, at least misafik. So so certainly if it's born b'mechubar, it shall require a chisha, and still should be usher, at least misafik. But kapanim must be misafik. Yeah, at least it should be misafik. Furthermore, since the Shah says a question by when it's severed from the ground, so it sounds like when it's connected to the ground, there's no side. But it's certainly also mean the raisa. Even I feel we're going to say even when it's connected, it's mutter without squirming. Certainly when it's severed from the ground. What's the question? Um, 1 second. When it's severed, Miklal and Mechubar, so vitamin Torah also even without knowing about Rechisha. The Nomar to feel Mechubar Mutabla Rechisha, you're going to say that even if it's when it's connected to the ground, it's mutter. As long as that Rechish, Kosh came to Tolish. Certainly it should be mutter when it is Tolish and it's not ever squirming on the ground. Michael and Bailey, what's the question here? The Ran says when the fruit is connected to the ground, you talk only Rechisha, like we saw in Newton base. No doubt, nearly borrowed. It's clear to me. I'm saying to the these rabbis hold the Shas can be Bailey Pirsha Umesa. Shas's inquiry is by it's separated from the fruit of vegetable died. And the question is, Lamish in the Yesh Suffolk in Sorachisha Cloud. It's not because the Suffolk requires squirming at all. Fiber Rechisha and Iskal. Without squirming, there's no prohibition. That would be by like Im Rechishas Avir. Ooh, new concept. If it squirms in the air, like an earthworm squirms in the air, right? Im Rechishas Avir, however, Rechishas Ords is like it squirms on land, Im Lav, or not. Here, when it's separated into the air, Kanshkil Arts Mesa, and it died before it hit the ground. It squirmed in the air. This is the case. Because in terms of the primary separation required by Tolush, when it's not connected. On a subganki in pieces of have a kabishal arts. Question also whether it goes into airspace, it's sufficient as if it went down right to land. King Ali Rechisha. So too in terms of the squirming. Kenu. The Kenu Shemidamin Avir La'aretz. If we're going to draw a parallel between airspace and land, in came Mali Shu Chalechas La'aretz, what's if it walks, so to speak, on the earth, or Lechas Bavir walks, so to speak, in the air. Rechisha Makebas. But Rechisha certainly is required. Rechisha Bavir is enough. In the brackets, it says, because of Rashi, and so Rashi writes as follows. Pirsha, the Chulesha, Mesam Yam Biflosa died immediately when it fell out. Miyamina Odi Chule, Odim Lobayan Shitza, we could not require Shitza Kalashon. Kavanasa, or it's Lobayan. Doesn't mean it doesn't require Rechisha at all. You need Rechisha, but perhaps don't need it on the land. The Avir care, it's not because the airspace is like the land. Sorry, nevertheless, it's not clear. Beisayis Vayam Shlema. Simukov Al Shalevil Cloud Divrei Haran. That's Kusha, they don't bring down the Ran at all about not requiring squirming. And to answer his question, or Akapoint Lakusha Deazu. Let's bring down his question, or at least bring down to be closer for that day. The Tzarech Iyum Godol. Not clear what was omitted. Nunhei, Vinay Gdolim Achronim, Chokar Beim Beis Yosef. Great Achronim, Arbe says the Yesh Lachmir Gadas, Rash, Babran, Echlami, Yatim Achronim. Like Rashman, you don't need to have it squirm when the fruit is connected still to the ground. Okay. Rambam ain't no voice that hey, it's not explicit in Rambam. Koko never smucha came much pasuk sham, but toloshed up pirsha mesa that if the fruit is severed from the ground, even if it is separate, even if the bug, whatever it is, left the fruit when it was dead, yesh suffik. There's a question. And we have to ask him, base. Pirsa mesa vade kan rechisha filo bavir. Well, if it's pirsa mesa, it's definitely no rechisha, even in the air. Can we buy labor tolush? This is a question by tolush. It seems like that when it's mechubar, you don't need richush at all. And that's where he wrote that they go to the shita. It doesn't require richush. But even though the Beis Yosef is not machmir, says definitely you have to be machmir. That rechisha is not necessary. Rechisha on the ground is not necessary. Nun vav. If you don't hold the rechisha is avi or shmei rechisha, like you said before, still wouldn't need it on the ground. Nun vav. Rabbeinu Rama ganke hokas asoisim. So Rama also seems to answer. Sharei Kosel al Divrei Rabbeinu besides the show that's right about the besides the needs of a peri committed kudish choy. Sometimes find in the fruit like a black dot. V'umako shemaskel lastly, so came a place where the worm starts developing. So you have to take it off deeply. The Oscar last house, it's also like the worm itself. I can't show. Makora b'chulas harashba. His source is the chulas harashba. V'olich shitaso loving a richush. Even this larva, I guess. It does is also because it doesn't require richush. Sharei berikum bada enkan richush. When it's in this larva stage, it certainly does not move around. Astonished that the Rama wrote this juxtaposed by says, which does require moving or squirming. In any event, the Rama's opinion, regardless, is that you don't require richush. Yeshu Shalom, those that say through the Rakli not to last, at small Yeshlach Mir Gzam Shlo Richesh, only Machmir not to eat the worm itself, not to forbid any secretions from it. He says, it's a Shach, and it has objects it, and really the words of the Shach attack a Dachuk, because it should have been clarified somehow. Nun sei, if Nim Yisparla have flavor fella. I'm astonished. I'll call Gdoim Shetopsu the last Mishamatsu Richush, all the Gdoim that sees down to being that those who require Richush, any Sabarikum, will not ask for the larva. How can you say this? It says Rikum Sheretz on the this larva of the Sheretz Lokin, Yamakus, you go Sheretz Shretz Soloitz. Because it's called the Sheretz on the ground. Line chum. And before us, the answer Richush Rikum. So it's clear that you don't need this larva to squirm. They, according to their interpretation, you really ask from an explicit Gemara. If I ain't seen it, so must be not all comparable. That Rikumo, the Torah answered this larva, commotion in Livra, Bishlemus, Berichesh Kvar. The way it's created entirely, that was very rochish. Ve'ein seminatema. It's not astonishing. Berikum lo by richush. But when it's this larva phase, it's not moving. It's also kula by richush, but when it's created, when it comes to being, it does require richush. Came on the berikum lo shaycha richush klau. Since by this larva stage, it's not shaykh richush at all. Okay, I read this wrong. The Torah, going back 2 lines. The Torah asked the Torah asked the rikum as it's created. Not 2 separate things, even though there's a comma here. The Torah also rikumo commotion hiver b'shlemus, like it's fully created. Commotion, remember, says if it is fully created and already was rochish. Rikum is forbidden as if it was shalom and already was rochish. It's not astonishing the rikum by richush. That's that when it's in the larva stage. Again, not the larva is exact. I'm just using the cyber. So he said it doesn't require richush, but it's also cool. And when it gets completely formed, boy, richush. At that point, it does require richush. Came in the rikum l'shacha richush cloud. It's not b'teiras richush, because it has no way to propel itself. Fizi yashu Rabbeinu Rama l'choladeus. The going to the Rama works out very well. Came breas kidney shenogu varham tuloim. So checking beans. Where you have in mind, leggings, we have in mind to remove the wormy ones. I feel like tola, even if they don't have a worm. Raksha tola achlam. Even the worm just ate them. And we're concerned that maybe there's some larva which you can't see there, kano b'chol tfutzos Yisrael. As customary. But here we should have chumrah ba'alma. The main people say it's just a chumrah das a chokim. Usvir a little bit chush. It's just a chumrah of those people who say you don't require a rikush. Fish round and it's a zel chol also chol deus. So chol deus because a rikum does not require rikush. Yeshazar b'zem. Oh, you should be very careful about this. Nun ches, sorry. No tolem agdelim b'gemein upitrios. Worms that grow in mushrooms and truffles, even though they're not considered vegetables or fruits, and you make a shackle on them. Dinkum l'shari peros, like any other fruit, for assuming Torah. Normally, we don't say loch hashim and chubel karka. We don't say that's not connected to the ground. It's showing for a party bedam since you don't make a party build over them. They need themselves. There's two different things. Showing gedalim and ochets. They grow from the land. Or the head Yahamu Chazal said over Ervin the Haim Kapulin of Kafnios. They're like legumes, and I forget what kafnios are. Capers, maybe? No, not capers. I don't remember what they are. I feel that's the Rambam. The only thing that customizes the Rambam said mushrooms, the truffles, can be both mice and money. Kol never said Ramu Chazal Medorim. That's no doing karka. Somebody takes the net and not to have things which grows on the ground. Also, we can pictures not to have mushrooms and truffles. We shouldn't do them nuts because they grow out of the land. Actually, any custom arts is that they don't derive their nourishment from the land. They don't make a shackle. The test came she's by the last since we now have clarified that a worm which was came to being when it's mechuber is also. With tolush mutar cause much lapirish. If it's tolush, it's mutar as long as it hasn't separated itself, moved. Therefore, we have a question of doubt in a fruit, whether im nitla b'mechuber tolush we got its worms. It is wormy when it was still connected, or after when it was separated. Also, now it's to have it. That was fake the rice l'chumra. So the rice l'chumra. I feel like there pairs that l'mechuber. Even don't know that this fruit normally gets wormy when it's connected to the ground. If we knew they got wormy when it's connected to the ground. Asura lo echo b'lablika can't eat without checking. Even though you don't see apparently any worm, as we shall see. So that we know that it doesn't normally become wormy when it's connected to the ground. Then we go the exact opposite. We say kula she's happened once it was severed. Sabi Isra L'chuma is only if there isn't something which is prevalent. Prevalent trumps the suffix. On that, but I don't know when it becomes wormy. Awesome Sabi, that's awesome Sabi. When the hole pierces through and through, it's awesome. And what I feel is Liabatolish. It's still awesome. First opinion there have a suffix something no matter what even when it's it has a hole pointing towards the outside. Okay, samach. Common peros, any types of fruit. Shadaganaly, which become wormy. Shemachor in the connect ground. Loyachal at shivdok peri from Yusa. Shouldn't eat until you check the innards of the fruit. Shemi Eshbos last, maybe there's a worm. They shouldn't eat a night glorious sign or an air unless you have a candle by which to check it. Chandim Mayim Mishar Mashkin. So about water and other beverages. Shadachli Polisham Zuvim, the Toloim Yitushim. Gotta check it. That doesn't have flies and worms and gnats. Also, Shlosh can't drink it without checking. If he said, "Bimine kidneys," according to this, by legumes, saying in our countries, most here there are fleas, some sort of insect. The Peri Molenis, melons, Vinkselen, I think it's a type of nuts. I'm not sure Molenis is melon, but Vinks, I'm pretty sure is some sort of nut. Anyways, you tell me what's about Toloim. Well, you can always find Toloim. David says about raspberries and blackberries. Um, assume that I can't eat them without checking. So to buy apples. Uvrenas. Ubrenas, maybe that's pears. But kites in the summer. Shematzabem Toloim, when worms are prevalent. Also, you can't eat without checking. The Shana Shatolo Matzibahem Bagarinim. In the years in which the worm can be found by the seeds, also you can't eat the seeds. Cut around them and toss out the seeds. It says every country can be different. According to the weight of its fruit. There's no comparison between country and country. No comparison between year and year. As well known. Chachmas Adam. Vein kom Medina Shabbos b'zeh. Not all countries saying ki hakirkasin. B'ninas Ashkenaz Zaks in Tzarfas. Kol minim mechzorim toloim. Whatever the kirsin are in Germany, Saxony, France, all these minim are mechzokim mechloim. They all have worms, but they're still connected to the ground. So that's mean except for one species, according Zoyer kirsin. Maybe it's quinces. Plemin, peros. I don't remember what these plemin. I think plums. I don't remember. Over Danzig or Carlsbad. Boy, he's getting really specific. In Danzig and in Carlsbad, they're saying their countries have plemin shchel bem toloim. There are many worms in them. Have a kirsin and a shchel, but the kirsin they're not so prevalent. Elam toloim yikoyim chutz, and those which are wormy, you can tell on the outside. Sheesh mo kumagum is like a hole there. There's lita plemin hagdelim sham in Lithuania. The plemin which grow there, machmas shaperes kuchushim od, says the fruit is very thin, very unhealthy. Lo shem and tloim. The worms don't go to bad fruit. K'mochem bekirsin, and also about the kirsin issue. Ava plemin aveshim, dry plums. Again, I'm not sure plemin is plums, but let's just go with that. It doesn't matter wherever this dry fruit is. Shavim medinas achesh from other countries. So you have to check on this. They're assumed to for sure have worms. The widespread minimum of environment shall plemin innovation should be merchak. When the plemin come dry from a distance, place them called ploim. Open every one of it. But some garim, those which have like specks, particles, which is not smooth, and pleasant. We throw away those plums. Since they are assumed to have worms, you would say that those dots are like the worms which got crushed up, or that it's the larva which is equally bad.